Hello again, everyone. So I'm going to talk to you about customer service for us in 2030 or 2031. So just getting you back to, if you were to close your eyes and think, what does customer service look like in 2031 from L&Q? Now we'll quickly be there, but actually that's a good period for us to really think and be ambitious about what are we shooting for? What does this look like? And from that, for you to give us a chance to say, yes, but Matt, you haven't thought about this, this and this. And then we can go away and make sure we put that into what we think a great service would look like. So, some key bits within that vision that we've drafted so far, and it is just a draft because that's the purpose of sharing this, is delivering a multi-tenure service that is reliable, repeatable and consistent, and I'll explain a bit more about that, and easily accessible so we get high satisfaction levels. Now you've heard this a few times, reliable, repeatable, consistent. What does that, what do we mean by that? So by reliable, I think that means we do what we say we'll do and we keep our promises. If we do that and we repeatedly do that time and time and time again, that magical thing we talked about this morning about trust comes back. So we need to be reliable. We need to be repeatable and doing those things consistently well that you are telling us we're not quite getting right now. Now, in terms of consistent, that's about how we make you feel. It needs to be a consistently great customer experience. So whether we get it right, whether we get it wrong, whether we can fix what the issue is or not, you'll listen to. We update you. We act on it, and as a customer, you consistently feel valued. Reliable, repeatable, consistent. And in terms of accessible, that's about nobody's a customer wants to work hard. Life's hard enough as it is, so why would you have to work hard to be a customer? We need to make that easy for you. And in doing that, we need to make sure that we can tailor that service. So over the next couple of years, you will get a lot of our contacts saying, can we have more information about you? We want to know about you and your household so we can use that information so that when we're delivering those services, even before we get to your door, we know more about who's behind the door and what we need to think about to tailor it to support the delivery of that service well. So that's what we think reliable, repeatable, consistent and accessible includes and looks like. Provide a local service that is the heart of local communities, shaping places and supporting residents to sustain their tenancies. So what does that look like? I think that's fundamentally about relationships. We need IT systems to help us to deliver that really well and really slick. But fundamentally, if we are going to be in local communities and embedded in there, that's about relationships. That's about completely refocusing the role of your NHL, but not just your NHL, working alongside them, having your repairs manager, having your investment program manager with David's colleagues working hand by hand with us. So in your locality, we are really thinking local about what that looks like for you and making sure that the NHLs, when we refine what that looks like, know who you are. Don't just have a number of properties, but actually they know that Mrs. Smith has this concern and I'm going to go and give her a knock on her door because I know that this might happen next week. That's a great service based on that local knowledge of those people. That needs to be supported though by the whole range of wraparound support that we do. So that great work I talked about earlier on about the foundation, the money advice, the tenancy support, the pre-tenancy support, some fantastic things that they do. We need to keep doing that. And we also need to work with LQL, our care and support service. So when we talked earlier about how do we sustain people to live in their home as they get older and might need some more support, there's some amazing technology out there to do that in a much better way than we're currently doing. So we will have expanded our alert and response service with those technologies so you can use them not just if you're in sheltered housing or support schemes, but if you're an L&Q tenant in other schemes as well. So that's one of the things that we will be rolling out to help support you to live in your home. Next bit, This is always a controversial one. Digital by choice, not by default. What that means, in a nutshell, is we will not stop delivering services to you unless they're digital. We won't say the only way you can get the services online, because for some customers, that doesn't work. However, we will massively increase the amount of digital access online you can do to do self-service. Because actually, if it's 24/7 in the comfort of your own home, at a time you choose, or the pub, or the park, or wherever you are, and you can get a good service, that's a great service for lots of people. And we're not there in terms of our technology yet, but we're working hard with a program to do that. So we want more self-service. We want a better phone service. We want a better phone service that if you can't self-service, we'll be able to answer your questions right first time, because that's why you ring up and want an answer to those questions. And the third part is, self-service isn't right, and you phoned up and actually it's really complex, or there's some vulnerability, or we need to come and have a look at this. Then we need to use that local team to be out in your home. Not in our offices where you have to come to us. We want to be out there in your home and in your community to respond to those complex issues that are out there. And the plan will be that while we roll out digital and phone services, if we can do more of that for people who can serve themselves and are happy doing that, the resources we've got can really focus on the customers that need that help and support face-to-face. Because at the moment, that's spread across everybody. And that's not making the best targeted use of those resources of where they need to be. The one golden rule for this, though, is nobody will be left behind. We won't bring digital services in and say, that's how you do it. There will always be a range that suit the preferences and the choices that you want. So that's a key golden rule that we'll be working to. I want to talk about bringing services out in a local community. For me, that's about bringing the whole of L&Q to your front door. So that as customers, when we come out to your home, we've got some fantastic systems and some fantastic technology and people who are listening and care, who will come to your home and be able to deal with that query there and then. So what that looks like in my head when it's 2030 is you tell us there's a really complicated repair, we'll turn up, we'll talk to you and understand and think about any vulnerabilities about what we need to consider. We'll take a photograph of it, we'll report it accurately so that we can fix it first time. You will get an appointment from us before you leave your home, so you know exactly what's going to happen. You'll get a reminder automatically telling you when it's going to be. And the day before, we'll remind you. And the day after we finish, we'll ask you what that experience was like. So a much better service, but using technology so that we have one view of the customer. And for our colleagues, it's easier to deliver that service in your home. So that's what that looks like in terms of bringing the whole of L&Q to your front door, not being fragmented like we might currently be. All of that needs to be informed by data and customer insight. Now, what we mean by that is we've got loads of information, but what we don't do is use that well currently. So we've got information about patterns around repairs, damp and mould, arrears and support. We've got property data and we've got customer data. We need to bring those together to give you targeted preventative actions. So what does that look like? We did a pilot of something quite small scale up in Manchester around some of this. We used property data from complaints, repairs, damp and mould, and energy efficiency ratings. And then we also looked at complaints. We looked at which households had the lowest income in those properties, because they're less likely to be able to heat them. And we did a focused piece of work with 100 households to say they're the most likely to be struggling to heat their home and it's not efficient currently, to target our interventions. That's insight that would preempt what the issues might be in the middle of the winter. Or for rent arrears, if you're about to go into rent arrears and you're a family on a low income and end of the school holidays, we should know what's in your household, who you are, the fact that you may struggle, And we should have ways of being able to prompt you and link to things like school uniforms. That will prevent you getting into arrears. So really being in those households about what is it from that insight we can do to try and preempt and help that customer experience. And then the last bit is about strong working relationships with local partners. Because for us, in terms of a great service, we talked about earlier on this morning, we can't do this by ourselves. We have to have really strong relationships, first and foremost with our residents, because you live there and you know what's going on, and we want to get to know how we work better with you. Secondly, with community groups in that community. We do want to come in and come up with new solutions and answers when there are groups there that we can work with who are really good in those communities to deliver those services. And then the third part is the statutory agencies. So we need to strengthen our relationships with the police, with social care, with mental health, and with fire service. So when I talk about strong relationships with local partners, that's that partnership approach that is going to get us to improved satisfaction on neighbourhoods. So that's what it looks like in my head in 2030. And that's what we're aiming for. We have got a way to travel, I know, but that's what we are aiming for.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matt.